To the boys who love us in leather, to the boys who love us in lace, but to the boys who love us most when we sit on their face. Cheers.
Cheers.
It's like similar to last week's, but we really need to keep bringing the heavy hitters on the toasts.
I love that one. I forgot about that one. That's a good one.
Yeah. Thank you. So Ashton has to bring 2 the next 2 weeks. So.
Well, I have one, but it's like, I'll save it for next week. It's like a typical, easy, like everyone's heard it. So, but I'll try to do some research, make it real good.
I like it. Well, we're back. If you made it this far, we're at episode 13. Are we at episode 13? Okay.
Isn't that crazy?
Wow. It's great. We should have recorded on Friday and like Friday the 13th and then made it like a thing.
Oh my God. You're so right. I think we would have had more technical difficulties than we already are. And by we, I mean me. So probably.
Well, I think around Halloween, we will be on a cruise on Halloween, so we will not be recording, but we should do a spooky episode for Halloween. I was thinking about it and I was like, ooh, we could do like office spooks or like scary, like work things. Like, I mean, I would
haunted
quit
office.
If I had a haunted office, I would quit. I'd like couldn't stay. There's no way.
Ooh, okay. I like that. We're already planning ahead like 6-7 months.
This is like very far in advance.
We talked about last week, my story was about Teacher Appreciation Week. And so Jordan and I have been trying to do better about planning ahead. So it's funny that we were talking about Halloween episode already, but this week, and I know we said at the end of last week, we're going to do teacher episode. We're going to save it for the end of the school year. And this week is Nurse Appreciation Week. So we have all nurse stories. Very excited. We hope you guys like it. And we'll probably do this again because the stories, at least I found, they're all from like articles. So I can't wait to hear like what people that actually listen say.
I know, we love it. I found some good ones too. And I think especially hearing these stories, nurses don't get appreciated as much as they should, because that's one job. I've always said, like, I don't like sick people. Like, maybe that sounds insensitive, but like, I'm good. Like, I just was never cut out to be a nurse. It's not my personality. And I props the people that do it, because you deserve to be appreciated. And I'm sure your hospitals do not appreciate you like you should be appreciated. So happy Nurses Week. Here we are.
Woo.
Ashton, how was your weekend?
It was good. So I actually went to the Kentucky Derby last weekend with like a bunch of our friends.
Casual. Very casual.
Oh, Churchill Downs. No, we were in the infield in the party area. It was very, very fun. And because I've always thought, I was like, oh my gosh, the Kentucky Derby, like one day, like I would love to go. In the infield, I mean, it is like crazy people central. It was so much fun. Highly recommend. Like, if you get to go, you have to go. Like, it was awesome.
Nice. Well, I saw Ashton's, she posted some TikToks and stuff, and it looks super fun. And I love how, where you guys were at, it was like you guys were dressed like to the nines, like looked great. And can you talk about how you snuck alcohol into the Kentucky Derby?
Oh my God. Absolutely.
Ashton, please explain this, because I was so impressed.
Well, so I guess before we went, so we got there on Friday morning and we did a couple bourbon tastings, and we're just asking people, like the locals, like, hey, like, what should we expect? Because we know it's raining, and like, is it going to be super muddy? And they're like, oh my God, you're going to be covered in mud. Like, yeah, you're going to be muddy, even if it's raining today. And it was like sprinkling that Friday, didn't rain at all on Saturday. I did not see a lot of mud. Where we stood was like on brick, and there was like concrete, and there was grassy areas. It was like
general admission, right? Because it's like a big area. Yeah.
Yeah, basically. So that was one thing. If you do go and people say it's going to be muddy, it could be, but at least in our experience, I was expecting mud to my knees, and there was none of that. Honestly, I was promised more mud. I was kind of disappointed. But the other thing people told us was like, oh yeah, like the tickets were like $80. So like, be prepared to spend a lot on drinks. And so we knew it was going to be like $15 to $20 drinks. The drinks were $20 each, cash only also, which is very strange.
At a major sports event like that? Like,
yes.
What?
Yeah. Well, I think that's how like the actual like betting machines worked. I think you had to use cash. So thank God, like I just had some. So we knew, we're like, okay, like, let's try to bring in as many shooters and like little shots as we can. And to the events, there were like special rules, like certain bags. You could bring in like a pretty large bag. You could bring like a couple bottles of water and you could bring food. So like, okay, perfect.
Which is cool. You could bring food because like I don't even think like a Chiefs game you can bring food in.
Yeah.
You know.
I also don't know. Oh no, there were food stands. I was like, I don't know if I saw a single food stand. There were food stands. But yeah, so we are like, okay, let's go to Jimmy John's and let's pick up some like actual real giant sandwiches. And Clayton was like, okay, let's also pick up their like day old bread because it's like 50 cents. And then we'll like scoop it out to make it look like sandwiches. It was so funny because like I'm getting ready while all the boys are setting up the sandwiches. And I just keep hearing them say, like, that doesn't look like a sandwich. It doesn't look like a sandwich because there were no like toppings. And it was so funny because they had literally taken they had deconstructed one of the sandwiches to like stuff the top with like ham and lettuce and tomato to make it look like a sandwich. But you open
in
it up
case it got inspected.
yes. Yeah. And because people are telling us, like, you can try to sneak alcohol in, like, we don't really know. Like, no, literally the guy,
Genius.
like Clayton gave them to the guy, like in the little bag. I was like, oh yeah, these are our sandwiches for the day. And Clayton walked through the metal detector and the guy was like, oh, sweet. Like, I wish I had some sandwiches. And we're like, yeah, you're going to wish you had these. So yeah. And even like one of the
Fireball
girls,
sandwiches.
delicioso, a little spicy.
I think that's our episode name, Fireball Sandwiches.
Yeah.
Because that's amazing. That's
highly
truly
recommend.
amazing.
It was awesome.
Yeah. Well, I was impressed when I saw Ashley's Snapchats. I was like, that's amazing. I wish I would have thought of that. So
yeah, definitely worth it. So if you go, bring shooters, and it could be muddy, but if people say it's going to be super muddy, it's probably not going to be that bad. So like, you're fine.
It was like they really over dramatized this mud that didn't happen.
One of the girls literally told me, so like when you go there, you have to like, you walk in through the gates and you have to walk underground because you're like walking underneath the track to get to the infield. And this girl told us, she's like, oh yeah, like if it's raining tomorrow, like that area doesn't drain very well. So like you're going to be in a swamp. Again, expecting up to my knees. There was no swamp. I don't know if these people have been to the Derby before. I was like, what are you talking about?
And is it, I mean, it's like the only thing that happens in this area, like every year.
Yeah.
It's like the only thing.
Yeah. Well, and we were trying to think, we're like, does Kentucky have any major league sports teams?
Mm-mm.
And I don't think so. And they have all these like beautiful arenas all for University of Louisville. Like it's crazy, but it was super fun.
Well, that's cool though. Well, I was jealous, very, very jealous seeing your Snapchats. Well,
it was really fun.
We went out for Peyton's birthday on Friday.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, I think I went harder on Peyton's birthday than he did. And I vomited all over our parents' house. Like really almost a brand new house, even though less than a year. So
like in my bathroom.
And yeah, we argue because there's one guest room and we stay there at separate time. Like I don't stay there as much as Ashley does, but she calls it her room. And I'm like, bitch, this is the guest room.
Well, Mom and Dad call it Miller's room. And I was like, that's true. We're roommates. The babies of the family.
So yeah, so on Peyton's birthday, not only did we, come home to a toddler that Miller had woken up right as we got home, but I'm like vomiting all over the bathroom and I had to, awkwardly be like, sorry, Mom, like in the morning. So
oh my God.
Fun. Mom went a little hard, and then taking care of a baby the next day when you're hungover, like I do not recommend. Like it is not a good time. And I had to see Peyton's family, like his one uncle on his mom's side, and then his aunt and uncle on his dad's side. So we had 2 family events the next day, and I looked miserable. And I was just like, I didn't even ask him to not tell them what I did the night before, but just because I knew he would, like, just because if that were him, I would have told everyone. I would have been shouting it to the entire neighborhood. So sure enough, within 30 minutes of showing up at each place, he was like, hey, Jordan, do you want to tell me what you did last night? And I'm like, so yeah, he was very nice. He cleaned up my vomit on his birthday. So,
oh, that's a good husband. That's really nice.
Yeah. So I owe him. My birthday's in a couple weeks, so maybe he'll go crazy on my birthday.
Yeah, a little roles reversed. Perfect.
So it's okay. God. I'll take it. So
yeah. Oh, that's so fun.
Anyway, so Ash, what else do you got? How's Clayton been? Do you have anything about Clayton?
Anything to report? I was gonna say for the Derby, we did lose all our money. Clayton
Okay.
to sports betting, me to the drinks. So
Nice.
it was worth it. I had a great time. No, he's been on his best behavior. No, except actually the other day. So in our apartment, there's not like very good airflow. And so we started to notice as like the weather started getting warmer, if we don't turn the AC on and if we don't open the window, it gets just like thick
A
in
little
our
musty.
apartment.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so like Clayton's like, hey, Ashton, like as you're working throughout the day, can you just like keep the window open or keep the AC on, like preferably both? Which don't talk to me about the environment. Earth Week has passed and it smells.
It's done and gone.
So sorry about that. And mom and dad are going to be like, the bill. And I'm like, I live in an apartment. It's not that expensive. Don't worry about me. And so the other day he comes home after I had the window open because it's like a beautiful day. I'm like, I want to feel the sunshine on my arm as I stick it out the window. And Clayton comes because I don't like to go outside. And so Clayton comes home, immediately starts sneezing. His eyes are watering and he has really bad allergies. And he is such a drama queen. And he's like, oh my God. He's like, Ashton, did you leave the window open? And I was like, yeah, it's open right now. What are you talking about? And he's like, oh my God, there's pollen everywhere. And he takes like a little paper towel and wipes it by the windowsill, the window
my
the window
God.
that was open, and says, oh my God, it's everywhere. And I'm like, are you going
It's
to
like-
die? Also, no, it's not. Cause literally anywhere else, any other counter, you're fine. And I was like, not having it. Okay. It's like,
You're
"Are
like,
you
you're
trying-"
dramatic. You're fine.
He's like, are you trying to kill me? And I was like, no. I immediately get defensive because I do feel bad for him. But I'm like, no, remember when you told me that I need to keep the window open for airflow? And now you're telling me, no, I can't open. Who am I?
Because you're
Rapunzel?
dying.
I'm Rapunzel. Okay. Whatever. So that happens. And then today he comes home for lunch and he's making like an egg sandwich or whatever. And he has these like ghost pepper flakes. These things should not be edible. Like literally.
They're like stupid hot. Like I am a hot sauce connoisseur and that shit's gross. Like it's straight, not enjoyable heat. So he put
No.
those in something?
On his eggs, he literally did a dash. And like within 30 seconds, because the air's on, the fumes from like the stove walked over to
Ew.
me. It's like in my throat, it's in my nose. And I'm like, hi, did you use the now I'm roles reversed. I'm like, did you use the ghost
You
peppers?
use the same voice. You're like,
And I'm like, I can't, are you trying to kill me? I can't breathe. And he's like, now you know how I feel. But yeah, so it's been going good. Other than that.
did he eat those with the ghost pepper in it?
Yes. He
Like a
literally does like the
psycho?
tiniest bit. And I'm like, just put Cholula on it. Be a normal
Any other
person.
hot sauce? Like there's so many other kinds. Ew.
So I think I am gonna throw his ghost pepper flakes away. Because that
I
could not
would.
happen again.
I would. I'd be like,
It's
"Oopsie
horrible."
doopsie. They're
And
fine.
when he first got them, he like, I don't know if Peyton's like this or just like guys, like I always like, you learn like, oh, don't salt your food before you taste it. Cause what if it's fine? Then you oversalted. Clayton is like full on hot sauce, everything on it before he even touches it. And I'm like, what
Ew.
if that chili was already spiced up?
Yeah.
So the first time he used the ghost pepper flakes, we make something. And I specifically told him, because he's also the person that will put sriracha on everything. And I'll be like, I didn't want sriracha on mine. He used to be that way. Now he doesn't. But he goes to use the ghost pepper flakes, puts it all over this dish. It was like a zucchini noodle, something that I was really looking forward to. I take a bite and I'm like, I can't eat this. Like this is like you said, not enjoyable.
Yeah.
I
And
cannot.
sriracha has to be like there's an appropriate level, right? Before now
Yeah.
it's like too much,
Yeah. And he really likes spicy. My tolerance has gotten better. But after that time, I was like, please don't ever put that on any of my food ever again.
Oh no.
Now I'm like, don't use that around me ever
Oh
again.
my God.
And as he left today, I was like, I'm opening the damn windows. And he's like, please don't. I'm like, come on, pollen. Yeah.
Oh my God. that's
But no, he's
funny.
good.
Other than that, he's great.
Yeah. No, he really is great. I dog on him all the time, but it's just because he's so funny.
Well, that's why I always ask for an update because I'm like, okay, what's going on?
I did have to before this episode, I'm like, man, like a couple episodes back, I like really went in about the shoes on the
did.
airplane. And I was like, you know what, Ashton, like be mindful. And then this happens today. And if you didn't ask
Oh,
about it, I
hell
wasn't
yeah.
going to bring it up.
Hell yeah.
But,
You have to. You can always
but
edit it later.
he really is great, guys. Actually, I can
Oh,
still
did
feel
a
it in
ghost
my
pepper
throat.
get you? A ghost pepper get you?
I think it's a particle. Nah, that's why I'm chugging my water. Oh my God.
It's in the air.
But yeah, how's Peyton? How's Miller? Any updates for the people?
Miller's crazy. He's, he will be 2 in how many days? We're down to like a week.
Only a
at
couple
this
weeks.
point. 2 weeks. Well, my birthday's 2 weeks from today, and then his is 2 days after mine. So,
Oh my God.
but the terrible twos have begun, people. And let me tell you, no one can prepare you for this kind of situation, because it's like, I thought he ran our lives before, and now he is full on man of the house. It's like,
Boss baby.
last night, like I went to a happy hour and then I came back at like 6 or so. Like it was a very quick thing. And so Peyton was alone with him for like 2 hours, and it looked like Peyton went through World War II and back. Like he literally was just like, "Can you take over?" And I was like, "Why? What happened?" Like, and he was like, I'm his bitch at this point. Like, and I was like, "What do you mean?" And he said, he was like pulling me out of the chair in the living room. And I am like, Miller, like thinking he wants me to because he always wants to grab you and take you places, like to his toys or like to his room or whatever, which is funny. But he literally was like pulling Peyton like aggressive to get out of the chair just so he could put his toys and his bottle on there. And I was like, well, didn't you just go sit back down? And he was like, no, I sat on the couch and gave him his chair.
His toy chair.
Literally, I was like, oh, you can't do that. Like, you need to be like, no, Miller. And he was like, I've given up. Like, I was just too tired from work. I just couldn't do it. And I was like,
oh my God.
Okay. And then sure enough, like, I'm like, seriously, like you just made this 2-year-old made this grown man like his bitch. And then here I am like 20 minutes later. I'm like, it's fine. What do you want? And he's trying to put, like, he wants to try to put things in my mouth, like whether it's a toy or like anything, like, so he's like got this little Lego piece that he's like shoving in my face until I'm like, stop. Like, what are you doing? And then eventually I'm just like, and he goes,
oh my God. And his laugh is too cute. So I get it.
It's really deep. Like it's like a deep giggle.
Yeah. Well, Papa, apparently I did something very similar to one of our grandpas, where I would just like, if I was eating something he didn't like it, I would just like, here, Papa, like in your mouth. And I guess one time we were in a movie theater and the drill happens. He's thinking it's like a candy bar, a popcorn, whatever. And he's like, this texture was soggy, but hard. And like, so they're thinking it's cardboard, but people like, where did I get cardboard?
The ground, like maybe like I don't know, but it was clearly a piece of trash. Like you were just like, here you go,
yummy. And I had probably been chewing on it because like, oh, gross. Oh, but Miller's laugh, people, you gotta hear this. Miller James. Oh, he's too cute. He's the best.
So that's my life, and we have a second birthday party coming up and it's the theme is Too Fast, Too Curious. So
I'm so excited.
We literally made the party only like less than 2 hours because everyone's kid, like all of our friends had kids same time. They're all like around 2. And I think we're all just going to be like, make it as short as possible, please. And then we'll go to the pizza place next door where we can all strap them into high chairs and we can drink beer and eat pizza.
Yes, make them really tired at the park, and then the parents get to have fun. Perfect. I'm so excited.
We sound terrible, but it's okay.
It's gonna be awesome.
I saw this thing on TikTok where it was like, Facebook moms are all like, oh my gosh, my kid has like food sensory issues, and here's the special spoons like everything's very whatever. And the TikTok moms are straight up like, you bet when my kid goes to bed, I drink a beer. Like, like they're like hardcore.
Yeah.
And I love it. And I'm like, this is why I vibe with TikTok moms, because they're real. Because you know what? The mom groups on Facebook, I'm about to leave because I just can't anymore with like, they're like shaming of other moms because they didn't put a hat on their kid in the sun the other day. And I'm like, you know what? F off. Like, take care of your own damn kid,
Yeah,
So,
you're like, I'm doing my best.
okay. This is why Timmy doesn't have any fun, because you're not any fun. So sorry.
True.
Sorry, lady.
Sorry. That's when you're like, I bet you had like a lot of friends in high school. I bet you were not hated at all.
Yeah.
Also, when's your reunion? Is it coming up?
Oh my God. I think they're giving up slowly, because like nobody like wants to take the effort. And so they were like, what do you guys think about a park? And I was like, are you fucking kidding? Like, I hope one of them listens to this, because I'm going to be like, seriously, like we could go somewhere with a bar. Like, I mean, this would be fine. I just would feel like this is terrible, but like I would feel like an alcoholic, like bringing my cooler of beer to the park during the day. They were like, we could all bring our kids and stuff. And I was like, no, that's dumb.
No.
I want a babysitter. I want to get wild and like, see what everyone's up to, see what all the weirdos are doing, weird things they're doing now,
Yeah. Yeah. And you're like, no. Like, let's all literally just go to the same bar at the same time. And we'll like, oh, reservation, like we're going to be there. But like, that's it.
You don't have to pay anything. It's just like, why?
Yeah. Yeah. Oh my God.
So yeah, I don't know. And I mean, of course you get the people that are just like, I don't drink. Like, I don't think we need to have it at a bar. And I'm like, okay, well, most of us do. So like, go home.
This might be, I know you'll agree with me. I don't know if all of our listeners will agree with me, but that's like when the people have a wedding and they're like, people are here to celebrate love and they don't need to be getting trashed at my wedding. And I'm like, no, they need to be getting trashed at my wedding. I need you to have a good time. I'm not gonna give you wheat lasagna, but I need everyone to be in the party mood. Okay?
Yes. I mean, I think in our little thank you speech, we were like, hey, our parents paid a lot of money for this. So like, enjoy it. Like literally enjoy it. Like, please, so, which I honestly, and because I like am a wedding videographer too. So like, I have seen a lot of weddings. We've talked about this, and I have been to dry weddings, and honestly, I've been to dry weddings where it made sense. Like, but I've also been to dry weddings where it didn't make sense either. You know what I mean? So like, this one couple, I actually really liked them, and they were really involved in their church and stuff. And all of their family and friends were very involved in their church. So literally everyone at their wedding was not a drinker. Like, I mean, maybe a couple of relatives like floating in, but you could tell nobody there was drinking. And when I met with them, they were like, oh, well, we really only need you, because they can book me up to 8 hours, but they really only booked me for like 6. And it was because their wedding was ending at like 7:30 at night. And I was like, well, that's like weird, And she was like, well, I mean, it's a dry wedding, and like most of our family and friends are all involved in our church and stuff. And so we would rather have our wedding night, like, well, we want to do our ceremony early. We'll do a little bit of a reception to do our dances. That was literally like an hour and a half, like total. And then they had a spa, like at the Elms. They rented like a room and had like a late night massage and like did like a little spa thing, just them. And they were just like, you know what? Like, we're not partiers, and we wanted our wedding night to be like what we wanted, which I think is super cool. And I think it's all about making your wedding night what you want. And for me, I wanted to drink a lot of alcohol and do the cha-cha slide, but if you want to go do a spa day, do it. But that was not me. So
yeah, exactly. I went to dance, and I know I can't dance sober. I don't think a lot of people can.
No.
So, and by being able to dance, I mean confidently, the confidence in myself.
Yes.
It's not fair. Good. It doesn't get better.
That's fair. I mean, that's fair. So no, it'll be fun when we go to plan Ashton's wedding, since we've done a lot of weddings together now. So
yeah. So
very
TikTok,
exciting.
baby. No.
No, we'll keep everyone updated on the Ashton ring situation, because I think
we're gonna have to do this podcast for like 6 years. I'm planning on it, but like
we're here.
Be a slow roll. Oh my God.
We're alive. So all right. So we have some weird news. Yeah. Should we dive into it?
Yeah, I can go first, because my actual stories are all nurse related. This is not, but I just kind of thought it was funny.
I thought it was crazy.
I thought it was crazy, girl. You crazy girl. Have you watched the show Succession? No. Okay. I haven't either, but I know people like are really obsessed with it. Right now we're watching.
It has a big following.
Yes. Right now, Clay and I are watching Severance. So maybe after that, I'll be like, we got to watch Succession.
Ooh, it sounds like they may be related.
Maybe. Severance, super good. So highly recommend. One of the actors from Succession, James Cromwell, he actually glued his hands to a Manhattan Starbucks counter recently to protest coffee chains charging extra for plant-based milk. So I guess
Wow.
Starbucks charges you like 50 cents extra for if you want like oat milk or almond milk,
That's
which I
so
never,
dumb.
what part? The protest or them charging extra?
No, them charging extra.
Okay.
Sorry. I would say
I
that
was like,
protest is dumb. No, I'm no.
I mean, it's all weird. And I don't think he used super glue. So I was like, oh, it's kind of medically related. Like, I've never super
He's
glued
like using
myself.
Elmer's glue that like is
It literally said, it's
I
like,
ain't never leaving
it was
until
like
I
he
have to
used
go
the,
pee.
he used the knife to free his glued hands and like there were no arrests. So I don't, it could very well could have been Elmer's glue.
Wow.
But I think he was also wearing a shirt that's like free the animals. So it just made me laugh that I was like,
I mean, that sends a
pick your
message. I
battles.
get it. I just not what I would do to send my message. You know what I mean?
Yeah. But yeah, so that happens this past week. Pretty cool. Now I got to watch
Nice.
Succession and be like, I know what that guy did.
Huh. Okay. Well, now I have to watch it because I have to know what he looks like. So,
Yeah, crazy.
well, that was a good news. I like that one. That was
Quick.
interesting. So,
Thanks.
okay. So, what I have is actually from Missouri, and it's the sole reason why I picked it. And it hits close to home. So, here we are. It's a little dark, but it's okay. So, over the course of a few months in 2002, 9 patients at a hospital in Chillicothe, Missouri died under unexplained circumstances. Now the prosecutor has charged a former hospital employee with murdering one of them. But this is, something that happened 20 years ago. So I guess the families had tried to sue her,
Oh,
like or sue the hospital at least. And then it was determined that it was too far out of scope. So, but the prosecuting attorney, was allowed to. So, but they basically, these 9 people died of cardiac collapse, which is like over the course of a couple months, like that's something that should normally not happen. So this drug that they give patients in respiratory therapy, it starts with an S, I'm not going to try to pronounce it, but it paralyzes respiratory muscles. So in an overdose of this, it causes slow suffocation for people. And they linked her to being on care for this one patient, the one that they charged her for, but they're working on connecting her to the other 2 because this is like a 1 in a million thing that should happen. So the fact that it happened to 9 people at this small hospital, it's just kind of crazy. So, and then so that's kind of an ongoing thing. If I remember, I'll give an update. I'll look up an update. I don't know. So, so it says that they're kind of probably going to link her to more stuff. But the funny part I found in all of this and reading this, was that before she was even employed by this hospital in Chillicothe, she was charged and convicted of setting fire to Cass Regional Medical Center, which is only a couple miles from my house.
Oh,
isn't that funny? Yeah, I was like,
that is strange. Yeah.
Wait, so she did time. She was charged with attempted arson. I think that's arson. I don't know,
sure.
Whatever.
I don't know. Yeah.
Whatever. She was charged and spent a year in jail for trying to set fire to her hospital she worked at. And then you hired her at this other hospital. Like, I get it. Chillicothe's like kind of out there, but that's just wild to me. Like, why?
That feels like something that'd be like, maybe she's not safe to like work in a hospital. She had to burn it down. Oof.
Like that would show up on a case net, so.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Oh my God, crazy. Or like a background check and they're like, I don't know.
They're like, well, it was one time, maybe she had a reason. God. Maybe she was just like, I just lit a cigarette on accident.
That's crazy. So they're basically trying to prove, are they trying to prove that she administered this drug like on purpose,
she, like,
overdose?
Suffocated people. Yeah, like on purpose. Like, so.
Do you remember recently there was a case where it was a nurse and it was like a total accident. It was like, I think it was this one nurse that didn't even work in like whatever wing, or it was some scenario where they're like, hey, this lady needs whatever drug, you need to administer it to her. And she's like, okay, yeah, I'm just like here to help out. Ended up, I think the patient ended up being allergic and passed away. And I don't think it was even the family that tried to come after. It was either the hospital or the state. And she was like, this was and yes, like, of course, mistakes are not supposed to happen. Like that's a job but it was just like the circumstances. It was like, she shouldn't have even been asked to perform that
she shouldn't have been
procedure.
Yeah.
Crazy.
Well, and that's I'm sure there's a lot more of that goes on than like we realize,
Yeah.
So, wow. that's it for our weird news. So I think we're ready to dive into our stories.
Ooh.
So once again, it's Nurses Week. We're talking about nurses and hospitals and all the stories, all the shitty ER, doctor, whatever stories. What did he put up his butt? What did he come to the ER for? I don't know, but we're here to find out.
True.
So Ashton, I also picked a handful of episodes, so I think we could do the popcorn thing and go back and forth if you want.
Yeah, perfect. I can.
All right, so we'll see who has the better story. I guess we'll try to one up each other.
Okay, perfect.
But not like we have a crowd. I act like we have a live audience, but it's fine.
It's fine. You just let us know on TikTok in the comments, whatever. My first story. Well, before I get into my stories, like you said earlier, I mean, I had an idea of the crazy things that like nurses and people who work in hospitals go through, but like I didn't realize like on a daily basis, like how crazy things can get. So actually one of my really good friends, and she's not a nurse, but she does work in a hospital. I asked her, I was like, hey, like, do you have any stories? Or like, if you ever want to come on the podcast, like, let me know. Shout out. She will know who she is. Love ya. Basically, when I was texting my friends, and these aren't any of her stories, but she did tell me, she's like, oh my God, crazy stuff happens all the time. Like we had a patient that was butt ass naked in her room with the door open the other day. And she's like 92 years old. She has dementia. I'm not making fun of that, but I was just like, as a person walking by, like, whoa, sexy, a little jarring. So I'm just like, oh my gosh, like, thank you, all of our healthcare workers. Like, couldn't do the past 2 years without you guys, for real.
Yeah. We don't want to do those jobs. So thanks.
Thanks. Okay. So my first story, and this one made me giggle. So this is from a website called thenursebreak.org. And this is like one of their funny, like break room stories. And it reads, and the title is No Legs. So It reads, we once had two clients with the exact same name. I had to refer one to podiatry, and I got mixed up and sent the podiatrist, the one who was a double leg amputee. When the podiatrist rang me, the podiatrist ended up calling this person and literally asked, is this a joke? And they said they were mortified.
So for the idiots that don't know what a podiatrist is, that's a foot doctor. So
yes. And they sent them someone with no feet. Crazy. Yeah. Oh my God. I could totally see like myself doing something stupid and be like, oh, it's the same name. So which one do you think it is? Well, it's certainly not that guy. So that's my first story. Jordan, what do you have?
Nice. I'm just going to hit, I have three here that are all equally good. So it's probably going to think it's like probably going to come across like I'm just throwing out my heavy hitter all at once, but here we are.
You always do. What the heck?
I can't, I spend way too much time investigating these because I just can't show up and not bring something good, at least something I think is genuinely funny, which gets harder, by the way. I will say that. I mean, I'm sure you feel the same way, Ash, where it's like we've had so many funny stories that we're like, I want a story that hits that hard again, which, to some people it probably does. It's just to me, I'm like, no, it has to be hilarious to me or it's not coming on the podcast,
Yes. And I am selfish and I always like making you go last because I feel like that has to be the best or the best story of the episode. So I am selfish. And I was like, no, I'll start. No, really, like I'll start us off. Like it's totally fine. leaving the hard work to you.
Well, these are good ones. And I normally always bring good ones. So,
okay.
All right, here we go. I looked up TikTok, just like stories of the ER. And I did that thing where I forgot to get usernames again.
That's okay.
Sorry. Okay. So, horror stories from the ER. I always like hearing these and it's a lot of stuff up your butt, but this one was especially good. So a man came in and he said his stomach hurt. So the doctor asked if he had any idea what it could be. And he was like, well, there's possibly a potato up my ass. And he was like, huh. So, I mean, like possibly, like I think you would know. Right. Mm-hmm. And so the doctor's like, well, that's like super dangerous. Right. And he says, yeah, but I peeled it first. I tried to get it out for 3 hours. But that is one slippery tater tot.
Oh my God.
The doctor was like jaw dropped and he's like, okay, that slippery tater tot. What did you try to get it out with? And he said, well, I had a screwdriver nearby and I was just trying to stab it and yank it out. So they
No.
immediately sent him into surgery where they removed the potato and repaired multiple stab wounds. And then
Oh my
they
God.
also said he mentioned, "Don't tell my wife.
Oh my God.
Don't tell my wife." Like
Stabbing your butthole? Oh my God. That
it's
sounds
like
horrible.
it is. I was like, this can't be real. It's real. So
Iconic.
that's story number one.
Ooh, I'm going to say I have an up the butt story, but I'm going to save it for my last one. So my
All right.
next one. So this is called, and this is from a different website. This is from a Business Insider article. So I think it's pretty official.
Ooh, nice.
So, and the title is Tales of Pure Filth. And it says, it was my first patient with a colostomy. So like a colostomy bag. It was this old grumpy man sitting up in bed. I started taking off his bag and it smelled so bad that my eyes were watering. I kept thinking about his feelings and to not show anything on my face, like to upset him because like didn't want to embarrass him. This man looked at her and said, "God, you've got bad breath." And that is from a nurse, Nancy, with 45 years of experience. So can you believe that? She's like, "Oh my God, my eyes are watering." And he's like, "You smell like shit." Literally, literally, lady. Mm-hmm.
That's pretty good.
Love that.
Love
Part of
that.
me hopes that like he knows it was him and he's like, "I'm just gonna like deflect the situation." Oh my God.
Wow. You know what? Yeah, this is why I can never be a nurse. It's just never gonna happen. So okay, my number two here is you ever met a mom that's like just oblivious to what's going on? Like a good old like a good old lady, maybe her name's Nance, and she's just like, "Yep, I collect my spoons and I bake and I go to bingo." Like she acts way older than she is. I'm imagining this is this mom because it's from the ER again. So this mom brings her son in and she's like, he made a whole pan of brownies. He ate all of it and he just started acting so funny. So I had to bring him in. And the kid is like, "Oh, what?" Like he's acting like he's visibly stoned. And the mom is clueless. And the nurse is like, you could like the way the nurse is telling the story, she's like, like I'm trying to be nice to the mom, but like I'm trying to get her to realize the situation. And I'm like, "So is he like normally a baker?" "No." "Was there like an odor to the brownies?" "Oh, not that I noticed." Just trying to get her to realize things. And eventually she had to be like, "Listen, ma'am, like I can drug test your son and charge you this fee to be in the ER, but he is stoned. He made pot brownies and he ate them. Um, so we can test him if you want to prove it, but we can just let you go.
He's
if
gonna
you
live.
want." Yeah. And so, but yeah, she just was like, "Oh my goodness." And meanwhile, the kid is there and he's like so stoned, like he
Doesn't care. Oh my God.
Man. Like, oh
that
yeah,
is
like just
so
off
funny.
the wall stuff. But she was just like, yeah, this poor woman, like just clueless, completely clueless.
Oh my God. And like, man, like be nice to your mom, please.
Oh my God. I know. I was like, the balls, like to do it in your mom's kitchen and eat them all. And then she brings you to the ER. I mean, I hope this kid has a good story for the rest of his life because that's hilarious. So,
yeah. Oh my God.
That's story number two.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
Okay. So for my third and last story, so this is from that same website before, the nursebreak.org. So this story says, "Not me, but a nurse I know very well once had a patient who had come in with a foreign body or like removal. Naturally, it was a surgical case because why else would you go to the hospital to have something removed from your butt?" Exactly, Mr. Potato Head. So there was a bit of a wait in the emergency list, which was okay with the patient. And he kept leaving like the waiting room and he didn't really seem like he wanted the object out that badly, which is like, interesting.
Little sus. Yeah.
What the hell is up there? Like he kept walking out and they're like, "Okay.
So do you want this out or no?" Yeah.
Yeah. So the nurses kept like calling and calling this patient like on their phone for them to come back and assuming they were like outside smoking. So that's why they're like, "Okay, well, if we're saying his name in the emergency, like in the lobby."
Also, like what hospitals let you smoke outside anymore?
I don't know. This must have been like 2000. Yeah. So they're like calling him on the phone and they're like, oh, he's probably smoking, whatever. And this happened like a few times. And eventually the nurses were informed to please stop calling the patients if they leave. Um, and then the patient's number was actually blacked out on the charts. So they couldn't call him anymore. And it turned out that the foreign body was actually the patient's phone on vibrate.
Oh.
So every time they called it, it's vibrating and they're like, I gotta get the hell out of here. Like, I can't do this right now. So pretty cool.
That's pretty cool.
It just like how it escalated. It was like, please stop calling them. Like, just block out their number. Like,
Oh
no.
my God. And then can you
Also, why
imagine?
would you put your phone up your butt? Because then I'm assuming it was pretty like early because there's no way you're getting.
There is
an
no way
iPhone
you're
up
putting
there.
this in your butt.
I'm assuming it's like a little Nokia, but still, I'm like, you have to make phone calls on that. You're gonna put that to your face, dog? No.
I'm like, there's so many other things. Like, if you want to do that, there's so many other objects. Like
A
I'm just saying.
potato. A
A
peeled potato.
potato. Yeah, a slippery
Ugh.
tater, you know?
Yeah. So good stuff. Good stuff happening this week.
Wow.
What's your
Oh my God,
last
that one's
one?
good. So my last one is pretty good. It's a little more for the dark humor folk, but it made me laugh enough. So this nurse, and she was like in really good spirits. It was a TikTok, and she was like, so she starts by saying, like, I'm a hospice nurse. Like, my patients are
Mhm.
supposed to die. Like, it's just part of my job. Like, so it was
Mhm.
more like this is part of the job. Patients are supposed to
Yeah.
die. That's what we're here for.
Mhm.
So she was away with like seeing another patient, and like what happens, I guess she had said, is that with their hospice, it was like there will be a CNA on site whenever they're away. So like, because she will have maybe 3 or 4 patients in the same area. So she was going to take care of another patient while the CNA was at this home. So she says she gets a call like while she's with this other patient, and this CNA says, hey, she died. This lady just died. And she was like freaking out about it. And she's kind of like, okay, well, like they're supposed to die. Like that's literally part of our job. So like, why are you like freaking out? Like, is this your first day on the job kind of thing? So she was like, okay, well, you're legally not allowed to pronounce death. So like, I need you to I will be there in 5 minutes. I'm literally down the road. I will be there in 5 minutes, and just because she was like, you're not allowed to be, so I have to be there basically.
Yeah.
So the RN arrives at the house, and everyone in the home, like, because the family was all upstairs and the patient that passed away was downstairs. She says she walks in the door and everyone's in tears. They're freaking out, or whatever. And so she's like, goes to the CNA. She's like, what the hell happened? And she's like, a mess. She's like, I think they were throwing away the newspaper and they said, oh, I bet Nana would love to read this. And I couldn't help it. I just said, well, she can't because she's dead. And she was like, so she got fired that day.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Because she legally was not allowed to tell the family.
Yeah. And she literally was just like, well, they wanted to give Nana this newspaper. And I had to be honest. Well, she can't because she's dead. And then they were all like, what? Like, this is how you tell us?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh my God.
Isn't that horrible?
I guess I could see where she's like, oh my God, the family's going to go downstairs and see her and see that she's dead. But like, either maybe let them that happen or be like, oh, she's sleeping. She's chilling right now. Tell like a little lie.
You could have literally just hid in the bathroom for 5 minutes until the RN got there. Like, you know what I mean? Like, and so the RN was more just like, okay, like seriously, like this is not the job for you. Like, why the hell did you sign up for this job if you can't handle it? Now this family's pissed about the whole situation. Like they could potentially sue our company because this is not how we're supposed to like give like the news. Hey, Nana's died. And just because like this was not the way to do it.
Oh my God, that is crazy.
Yeah, isn't that terrible?
That is terrible.
So yeah, hospice nurses, that was also, I mean, that is like a funny, like terrible, it's like an awful funny story. But I feel for hospice nurses because I think that would be, you have to be a very unique, strong person to deal with that in general. So
yes,
props to you all.
This just reminded me, one of my really good friends, she works in an assisted living facility. So not hospice, but like, I think how she described it, she's like, if you can get up out of bed by yourself, like you might need one person helping you, you live at this, but like you still need help. And she said, I'm pretty sure she said one time she was working with this patient and she said something crazy like, yeah, that little girl in the corner keeps looking at me. And my friend was like, I have to leave. And this is my friend who we really like doing Ouija boards together. I'll have to ask her the actual story, but it was something crazy.
We should talk about that next episode.
She keeps looking at me and she's like, no one's here.
I would freak out. Yeah, I would be like, I can't work here anymore.
Save it for the October episode.
Yeah. Yeah, by the way, we can talk about that sometime, how Ashton and her friends like to do Ouija boards.
Yeah, it's really fun.
It's wild times. Well, I hope that last one wasn't too much for people, but I mean, I busted out laughing because I have a terrible sense of humor. So
that's something I would do. Again, these are all examples of like why I don't work in a hospital, because I would totally mix up someone who has legs and someone who doesn't have legs.
Yeah, there were some wild stuff. I mean, I'll just mention a couple of stories I didn't even get to share. Some were like the old men were shoving things up their urethras and then they were like exploding in there. Yeah. Things like that. Apparently there's a lot of that. It's like mostly people sticking things where they shouldn't be. And
yeah,
I don't know. I just like think in the big picture, people are bored. And I just think like there's TV, there's books, there's so many things to do.
Sticking stuff up your butt.
Yeah. So like there's a lot of options before we get to that. And I don't care how bored I am. I would never just be like, I wonder if this potato would fit up there. You know,
only one way to find out.
I think that's it. Honestly, happy Nurses Week. I'm happy we got to do a themed episode. Let's look up other occupation themes and we'll stick on theme a little bit here and there. So
yeah. And like we said, the last week of school, which we're not in school, so I don't really know when that is.
I think what do you think it's gonna be? That means we would probably be next episode, honestly. Yeah. So maybe next episode we do teachers.
Yeah, next episode, teachers. So if you have stories, please let us know. Well, thanks for hanging out with us, guys. This was so much fun. As always, follow us on Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, Facebook, all at Case of the Mondays podcast. Sure.
Yes.
Okay.
Like and subscribe.
Not like I don't look at it every day. Yeah. Like, subscribe, rate, review. Those really help us promote our show. So
yeah,
sweet.
Take your top off. We'll see you next week.
As always, take your top off. Bye.